Hello, beloved. It's me, James, coming to you today for a moment of sacred reading together. We've been working our way through the first letter of John. John seems to be a lot about love. I don't want to make any pre-conclusions about what we might be reading about today, but there's a lot of writing about love in this book. So before we do our reading together, I want to tell you a little bit about what sacred reading is, just in case this is your first time watching a video about sacred reading here. Sacred reading is reading a sacred text with the belief that somehow in that sacred text we will hear the echoes of the divine in a way we need to hear it right now, in this very moment. It might be, without even knowing it, we need a word of comfort, we need a word of encouragement, we need some other kind of word in our lives. I don't know what it might be exactly, but it is an invitation in this instance to look at the sacred writing of Scripture. But you can see sacred writing also in all sorts of other places, like in nature itself, what the early followers of Jesus thought of as the first Bible, the first Scripture, was indeed nature itself. So if we can learn to listen for the sacred in sacred texts and hear it for ourselves, what words are spoken to us, we can also do the same thing when we look around us in every moment of our lives. So we listen. The actual practice for me is to read it aloud to myself. When I'm doing sacred reading by myself, I read it aloud because I like to hear it, to feel the shaping of the words on my tongue, to hear the vibrations as they come from my vocal cords, and the support of the that is my diaphragm pushing the air up from my lungs through my vocal cords and causing that vibration, hearing it in my ears. When you're reading it to yourself, you hear the vibration in your head, all the way from the top of your head, perhaps all the way to the bottom of your toes. And that vibration is part of the energy of spirit that may speak into our lives today if we listen closely. So wherever you find yourself in these moments, needing comfort, strength, encouragement, whatever you may need, hopefully these words may speak that into your day whenever you're watching this moment. So take a deep breath. I will read it to you once, and then you can let it sit with you. Stop the video and let it sit with you. But after a moment's pause, I will speak what I heard it speaking to me. So open the ears of your heart. Maybe close your eyes as you listen. If it's safe where you are, if you're driving, don't do that. But close your eyes where you are, sink in, let your heart be open to what may be spoken. We are moving into the very last chapter today of 1 John, and it is verses 1 through 4. So listen with me for a word from Spirit. All who believe that Jesus is the chosen one have the great Spirit as their Father. All who love the Father will also love his children. We can be sure that we are loving Creator's children when we love Creator and follow all of his instructions. For when we follow his instructions, it shows our love for the Great Spirit. And his instructions are not hard to follow. Whoever has the Great Spirit as their Father wins the victory over the ways of the world. For it is our trust in him and his way of love that wins the victory. Well, in the end, what caught me was that juxtaposition between the ways of the world and the way of love. And ultimately, to leave behind the old ways, the ways of the world, and to move toward a way of love is to be transformed and changed in the way we engage each other, in the way we engage the world in which we live. It seems like I see a lot of evidence right now of the ways of the world. When we dehumanize others, when we marginalize other folks because they're different than we might be ourselves, then that's the way of the world. So for me, this is my interpretation. When we marginalize the LGBTQIA plus community, when we marginalize Black, Indigenous, people of color, when we marginalize women and their choices about their bodies, when we marginalize immigrants because they are newer immigrants than we are following the ways of the world. That is not the way of love, not at all. That's the way I hear this text. That's what it speaks into my life. And so I have to be especially careful to love all of God's children, all of them. That means even the ones that follow the ways of the world. And it also means to love the children who are marginalized. Now, my love for the marginalized folk in our world will probably require a lot more active love on my part to make sure that I stand with folks who are being left out of the way of love by other folks who are following the ways of the world. So that's what I hear in today's text. May not be what you hear, and you're certainly welcome to respond in the ways that you heard it. When you read it, you can write it in the comments in any of the places you find this. So wish you all the best. Hang in there if you're feeling marginalized, if you're feeling put aside, if you're feeling like someone else may be coming after you, oppressed. Hang in there. And if there's anything I can do with, for, or for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you already are, whoever you are watching this. So I wish you all the best. Try to live Creator's way, the way of love, not the way of the world. But know there is even grace if you start to follow the path of the world to come back to the way of Creator, the way of love.